A lot of new faces. A lot
Yeah,
of
it's
lot of new faces. We
oh
put
man,
out.
I love the show, dude. I've been watching for about a year now.
Yeah.
Uh, one of my good friends introduced me. She's like, "You keep saying boom," because I'm like, "Fuck yeah, boom." She's like, "I know it says boom all the time." I'm like, "I gotta follow this guy."
Yeah, I don't do that so much anymore. I used to. I used to do it on comments all the time.
Well,
Back.
I'll look it over for you there, Todd. So I'll keep it up.
Yeah. So, are you from Canada?
I am originally born in Bosnia,
Bosnia.
but
Okay.
moved here in '91, like, well, because of the war and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's when the war happened, right? The early '90s.
yeah, well, basically, yeah, early '90s till about '96. So
Wow. Yeah.
I was, it was a like, I mean, it didn't really affect me too much. Like, I was only 7 when I came here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
lots of, but no,
yeah.
yeah.
And so you end up moving to Canada. You're 7 years old. Into the. You said what is Winnipeg?
The butthole of Canada. If you look for dab in the middle, man.
Oh my God. Well, there must be some Gaia chakral scenario going on there. If it's like,
You know what? Winnipeg is like its own kind of like epicenter. Like
yeah,
my Reiki teacher kind of was explaining to me, like Winnipeg is its energy on its own. Like, I mean,
right.
if you got like a different vibe, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Maybe it's also the -40, -50 weather, but
Oh, excuse me.
yeah, oh yeah. It's
-40.
we like they said this winter is going to be pretty darn cold again, so it's been like yeah, man, it can get pretty chilly. So I try and enjoy the summer here as much as I can, get out and do some grounding and all that kind of
How
work.
long? How long do you have sub-zero temperatures?
Starting, I'd say, probably like later November, like January, just be pretty icy. Like I mean, it's
Wow.
pretty,
How do people even go to work when it's 40 below?
that's what everybody asks. Eh? I don't know. I mean, to be honest, in the wintertime, I walk to work. Like I bundle up. I always like how much frost I can get built up from my breathing because it's so cold out. So
Holy shit.
they're like polar bears, I guess. But
So, oh, Heather Davis Nilsson says we manage.
yeah,
She
yeah.
must
She's
be up that way. Um, so, like, what happened to you? did you
what
did
happened
you
to
have
me.
like a wake up experience
You
or
know
anything?
what? For me, it was probably 2012, and it's funny because I'm an Aquarius. The age of
Mm,
Aquarius started in 2012. I was kind of being low, like I wasn't doing much, not motivated, not just kind of being down in the dumps a little bit. And then my friend recommended this psychic medium friend to me, so
mm,
I met her, and she kind of started slowly chipping away at the old cinder block, busting it down.
uh-huh,
And honestly, I got a closed up heart,
uh,
and not like I wasn't like a cold person, but it was just like you could break up with somebody, okay, move on to the next, no emotions involved. You know what I mean?
wow. Yeah.
But honestly, she helped me out a lot. Like really, I think one of the biggest things for men is opening up their hearts, like really
Yeah.
finding who you are, and because I mean wow, do you go through the works, man? The emotions, the
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
all these things you thought you dealt with or whatever, you kind of tucked under the blanket or whatever. It all comes back in your face full bore. but,
Yeah.
but
And by the way, Heather Davis is in. She's in Winnipeg. Y'all should
that
connect. Yeah.
actually me when I was making comments on one
Oh
of the
yeah.
feeds. Like, hey, you're from Winnipeg too. I'm like, hey, let's go.
Winnipeg's in the house. Oh, I know what's
What?
going on here. Hang on. I had too many programs on. You were breaking up. Um, God, what was I going to ask you? What were you just talking about?
What the
The
heck? Oh,
psychic. Oh, the thing with the breaking the heart open.
that's right. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
go ahead.
to
Go
be
ahead.
that was the hardest work I've ever done. I feel like opening up your heart and really like letting yourself be vulnerable and feel things and not just
Right.
kind of
Right.
put a ice
Are,
brick over kind of doesn't exist. But
Adam DeBook says you're a new man. um,
I hope to
but
tune in.
are you still breaking your heart open?
You know what, man? I have done that work.
Yeah.
I am definitely past that now. But I mean, but it's always like the healing process is every day, right? Every day it's
Yes. Yes.
something your way.
Yeah.
And then what really kind of big happened to me is a few years back, I read this book called Become by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you
Oh
heard of
yeah.
Dr.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's just awesome, right? So I read that book, and man, by the time I was done that book, I was buzzing, Todd. Like, I was ding, 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 like zinging off the walls, man. So I was at work, and I'm just buzzing around, and I ran into this spiritual lady, my friend Jennifer. And literally, like, we almost smoked into each other. She's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" She's like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I am fucking fantastic." I've never felt so freaking buzzy in my life. You know, she's like, "Are you a healer?" I was like, "I have no idea what's going on." But anyway, so next thing you know, we're talking there, and I was talking about Reiki and how I actually, my buddy Adam there, I did my first ever energy healing I did was on his dog. So that kind of got me into this whole what's Reiki and stuff, right? And then talking to my friend Jen, she's like, "Well, I'd love to teach Reiki." I'm like, "Huh, interesting." I'm like, "I'd love to learn it." So next thing you know, she's like a dear sister to me. And just over, yeah, so I did my Reiki level 1 and then Reiki level 2. Just over a year now, I have my Reiki master level. So,
Wow.
and it's
Reg-
honestly, it's been like the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life, man. It's
wow.
just,
And
you know,
so you've been watching Soulogy for what, like a year? Is that what you
about that.
said? Yeah. Um, yeah, you were talking about breaking open the heart. Is it is it is it men or is it men and women? You know, I mean, I think the men thing, it's more on point, like it's more on stage
Yeah.
because it's very obvious that men suppress or men aren't allowed to be sensitive or men aren't allowed to be vulnerable, right? And like so that's but you know, for every action there's a reaction or however you want to put it. The whole thing you said about healing, is it that we never stop healing or is it that we never stop expanding? You know,
I
you know what I
sure
mean?
bang.
You know what I'm saying?
I,
Like the healing thing is like a human term, but you know, because we look at that and we're like, oh, there's something wrong with me, you know, or you know, I still got stuff. You know, I like what you said when you said I've done the work, and there's I think a lot of emphasis right now on the masculine, and a lot of people are talking about it, how it's fully anchoring. And I like the way that you said that because to me it felt like the confidence of the divine masculine frequency. And I believe that's coming out in all people. I believe that's the part of the women that are stepping up on this program that are coming up that have been hiding. Uh, they are obviously women. They obviously carry the message and the frequency of the Divine Mother, but I believe it's their masculine that's stepping up. You know, as she is the formless, he is the form. He
and it's
creates
also
the
like
form.
the balance of the masculine, feminine, I
Yeah,
think is the most important thing, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
to be able to be open and be vulnerable and stuff like that, but to also know when to stand your ground and you know what I mean,
Yes, you
not
have to.
allow
Yeah,
act or that kind of stuff.
yeah.
You know,
And I think you know, yeah, I think that's a very distinct masculine quality, regardless of whatever the body is.
yeah,
That's really, I guess, kind of what I was saying about the way you made that statement. You know, it was your tonality, it was your body posture. It's like the masculine, the confidence to be able to express or be that power
yeah.
that doesn't project out. It actually is a self-contained kind of like standalone. Like this is this is my truth. I don't care what you think. You know, not in a smart aleck way, but like you know, you have a right to your own opinion or whatever the case is. But this is my truth. I've done the work. My heart is wide open.
And a lot of people just aren't even ready to hear that yet, you know, because I mean, you talk to certain people about it, and you can just tell who gets triggered right away, or
Yeah.
because I'm just like love, 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 man, come here and give me.
Yes. Yes. I mean, the collaboration, the co-creation, the fellowship. Uh, Yes, that's the you know that's an obvious thing too as we move from the duality to Trinity. You know the Trinity energy. It's all about collaboration and you're right. I'm a big hugger and I love you. You know, hey, you know, I mean, uh, let's go with it. You know what I mean?
Big virtual hug for you, Todd, right here, brother.
And at the same time, like you said, you have to be conscious to read the energy, to stand in your power and your convictions, you know, in your soul. When you have to do that, you have to call a spade a spade. You have to uh, step away. You have to, you know, do a lot of
Especially
things.
unfortunately, right, with everything that's going on, how the new Earth rising, and then there's
Yeah.
so much of the old matrix still hanging on, like,
Yeah.
religious beliefs, old just. And when you hear these conversations, you just almost kind of laugh about it. I'm not here to tell somebody, hey, man, you shouldn't be talking about that, right? No, that's not.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
yeah. Man, we got another Winnipeg in the house. I don't know who it is because they're on one of the pages. They don't show their name. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's sure this year has really changed so much, especially the last few weeks. I mean,
yeah,
this masculine energy's really been
I agree
anchoring. Yeah.
100%. And it's been heavy too. Like I've noticed. Well, now we're in the equinox, the fall, so almost you're a little more tired, right? You're needing more rest and more, but also I always look at it. It's like, oh, I'm a little extra tired today. Okay, must be me
Yeah.
going in. It's like, all right, so
Yeah.
it's a good.
Sleep patterns.
That's right.
Um, changing time zones. I've been changing time zones for the last 3 months.
Like I never know, to be honest, what time it is. Somebody's like, oh, it's that time. Shit, I don't know. Like
I don't even know what day it is. Sometimes I got to say, what month is this?
I just gotta make sure I set my alarm for when I go to my work job or the old 3D job. But
What about the whole thing with having to know? We kind of let go of the past. We all kind of like worked on our traumas and broke our hearts open and all that. And then we had this fixation with the future, right? Like what's going to happen? Here's how we get there. Da, da, step, step, step. But that's kind of fallen away, right? Like schedules and
I
time and the way we create. It's not like building blocks from the 3D world. These are 5D sacred geometric particles that move in multidimensional ways. I mean, it's weird.
and the best part about it is we're creating from within, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
right now, like I was listening to Eldora and Simon. I'm not sure if you heard of them, but
Hmm.
they're talking about all this stuff, and basically it's up to us, right? Like it's
Right.
up to us to keep the frequency up and keep
That's
like
it. Yes.
we our vibrations. We're projecting from my heart. So what are you projecting, right? Like I'm projecting positivity, love, new ascension. Like somebody's having a bad day, somebody I used to be like, oh, I can't fucking stand this person, or now I'm just like, man, I feel for this guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
send him some extra love today.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, and that's really it, isn't it? I mean, if you really get, victim consciousness is taking a beating right
Mm-hmm.
now. It's taking a fucking beating. And that goes for all of us, for any moment we might be in it, for however long that may or may not be. But it really is what that couple's saying. It's all about your personal frequency. And if your personal frequency isn't where you want it to be, it's got nothing to do with anyone but you.
and
Period.
and like how you look at it, it's like, well, how do everybody's like, why you look so vibrant or blah blah blah. Like honestly, I've never been happy with myself as just being me. You know what I mean? Not thinking about anybody else or what I want or what I need. It's like, what do I really need? I got a place, I got a car, I got a fridge full of food. I got a job. I'm on the Todd Medina show today. Like life,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like life is good, brother. I got good friends. I've lost some friends too. Like just people you don't even realize how much effort or energy you put into a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, if there's no love back, then what the heck? You got to say goodbye. And nothing against the person. You still love them and all. And no,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because we start to recognize, I mean, we're all getting this now. We're giving our power away. Nobody's taking it.
that's right.
There's no victim unless we make ourselves a victim. I mean,
And
you know,
I think anytime anything happens, you can look at it as like a learning lesson. It's like, oh man, why is this happening to me? Poor me or whatever. It's like, shut up, ego, get out of here, right?
or I love you, ego, sit in the back seat. Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
I just went through this. I think a lot of people did. I think maybe even a lot of men did. I mean, I do interact with a few different guys, in my travels and such. But like, if I just look at the last, what is it, 3 months now? July, August, September. Uh, if you look at it, like my whole thing, and it was pretty well documented, was chaotic. Soulogy Fest was chaotic. We weren't traditional. We weren't typical. There was massive energies pounding the earth. We were navigating through that. From an energetic standpoint, absolutely the most expanding period, the crest of the wave. I mean, just huge. But the story could be told differently from someone with a different perspective. it could be. But like you did, like you showed at the beginning, I broke it open. I did that work. I've done that work. I'm in love with myself. Is what it comes down to, isn't it?
Not like in a narcissistic way, but I do love myself.
Yes, absolutely. I get that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was
definitely.
I was thinking back the other day when I was in sixth grade. Um, I had my own bedroom for the first time ever,
Yeah.
and I had a little desk built on it. So I got school pictures, right, and I had hair down to my shoulders, and I just liked the picture, and I loved myself, you know. And
Uh-huh.
I put an 8x11 on my desk, and my friends came over, and they started calling me Mr. C, Mr. Conceited, and that kind of stuck for a while. And and that's what kids do, right? That's what people do. Kids are just mean or whatever the case is, and it traumatizes us and all that. But I was actually having this thought the other day in a meditation that I did love myself. I actually was still pretty whole at that point, and I thought, wow, it's nice to be back. I
And I
put
mean,
it.
like, been homeless, you've been through the grinder, man.
Mm,
Like, I remember reading that one kind of life story you wrote about how when
mm,
you were little, and that, man, that was powerful, dude. Like, I
mm.
was bawling reading that,
Wow, that's cool.
sharing. A lot of heart get touched, brother.
Well, thank you. But I realized something during those times, because those times weren't like, oh wow, I'm walking on water, I'm Jesus. It was the breaking the heart open, right, and
Yeah,
breaking the bullshit out. But that was that everybody's pain is the same in
yeah,
proportion to their life experience.
mm,
And things are never what they appear.
yeah,
And like even going back over the last 3 months, I mean, I see the energetic masterpiece that I was a part of, but that was really a fractal of the whole Earth
yeah.
going through this, or at least parts of the Earth, you could say.
It's like the heaviness, eh? When we feel that heaviness some days, like I wake
Mm.
up and you're just like, whew, like what the hell just happened today, right? And then you talk to a couple of people and you can just feel the vibes. And it's like, how are you feeling today? I don't know. I kind of got up. Okay.
Well,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I think that's something we really got to remember. A lot of what's happening, no matter what it looks like in the story, is the energy.
Yeah,
It's the
it is.
fucking energy that's pounding this earth. And as somebody, I don't know who it was, because I touch, a lot of different things I'll read or watch, and was just saying that the mother's done. She's done. It's done. I got strong messages from that consciousness in July and August, and did the things I did. That was what I got. What I got was like we got to a certain point. We planned to get to this point. Now it's time to go to play, not
Yeah.
work. It was work before. Now it's play. Let's play,
Right.
and be all giddy like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm with you because
And,
that is a representation of your frequency.
and to be honest, I think humor's one of the biggest parts of my ascension, man. Because like I'm always joking,
Mm-hmm.
like even if I'm doing a healing, sometimes people take it seriously. I'm like, go with it.
So you tell jokes while you're doing Reiki.
Well, not always, but it depends sometimes.
Wow.
But no, but to be honest though, like with some of my Reiki experiences and healings I've done, it's probably some of the most mind blowing things, like what I've seen through the third eye. Because
Wow.
like when I start say doing a healing, I just focus, right? You get connected to your heart center. Basically, you leave everything aside, and I'm just a channel for energy flow.
Wow.
I remember I was doing it for my one buddy, and it was kind of closer towards the end, and all of a sudden, in my third eye, he became like the tree of life, right? It was like red and crystally white, like I'm just buzzing even talking about it here. But I almost had to open my eyes at one point, and I'm like, is this really freaking going on here? You know what I mean? But it was an amazing experience. And then anybody I've had a healing that I've offered a healing to, they've all been like, wow, that's amazing. I love your energy, kind of stuff. So I've never had anybody had a bad experience.
Wow.
So it's been
So
a
how long
really,
you been doing that?
just over, I guess, a couple years.
You resemble Romeo Baron. you know,
Romeo,
you
I
know
don't know who
Romeo
that
Baron, Sacred Romeo. He's
idea.
probably the best conscious, spiritual, conscious rap artist, like rap light language artist I've
Oh,
on the
that's a
earth.
compliment.
Yeah,
Todd.
he's a beautiful soul, just like you. He's a
Oh,
hell of a artist.
awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, like, what goes on for you? How do you navigate this thing in 2022 after COVID and after everything else?
Honest man, COVID was like, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but it was like the best 2 years of my life, man. Like,
Yeah.
like it kind of opened me up to more of the spiritual stuff. Like I was kind of always a little spiritual, but like on and off, on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And then just like with this whole Reiki thing, you know, I was like, because I was even engaged, right? I had a fiance down in Cuba. I had all this plan to bring her here. You know, I was spending lots of money on paperwork and everything. And then even didn't even resonate with her anymore, like because so much I was expanding so much and there was so much going on. Like I had to kind of break it off with her, and you know that was hard, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're in love and
Well,
everything, but I had to do what's best for myself in a way, you know.
right.
Like I
Right.
could have the old, you know, having kids, got married, and then I've always been like, oh, I wish I would have. But for once, I stopped pleasing other people and did
Yeah.
something with myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's perfect. You know.
And and I think like growing up in that, we're so, you know, told you got to do this, you better listen to this, you got to go this way. How about just fucking listen to your own intuition, man? Nobody.
Yeah. Why would leave me alone? Stay in your own
Like,
lane.
I love my parents and all, but even now, like I was telling them, you know, I stopped eating as much meat. You know, I changed your diet. And my dad's like, hey, go get yourself a pack of pork chop. Always with the pork chop.
Oh, Heather says we got to meet, Karlo.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. But
Well, I mean, really, it's funny because we've been out of our bodies, you know, and coming into our bodies. I mean, think about it, embodying. I mean, we're pulling in what invisible energy, lights, DNA's transforming, but there's a physical transformation,
yeah,
and it's and multiple bodies involved with the human bodies, and
it's incredible.
yeah, I mean, it's like when are we going to really accept what's happening and be able to see what we've been going through and what we saw as life for what it is not? And in other words, stop engaging it.
Yeah,
Because the thing about like the energy that you carry is it doesn't encroach on anybody, it doesn't infringe on anybody,
no,
you know? And,
like
and yeah.
I practice like the Christed light consciousness. So every Sunday, if you've heard of Sandra Walter, she does like a unity meditation. It's like
Yes.
5,000 people,
Yeah.
and we all meet. I think it's like 9, 11, and 1 in the afternoon, all my time.
Hmm.
But it's incredible. Like when you connect to this energy of unity consciousness, man, it is like just fucking boom, Todd. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right, right.
Boom, like that feeling when you're doing it. It's like you have no weight. Your entire light body. You know, it's
Yeah.
just
That's powerful. I mean, she's been doing that for I think 4 or 5 years, and I know the last time I talked to her about it, I think the number was like 7,700 people, and that was maybe
cool, man.
2 years ago.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So to think that at a specific time, a group of thousands and thousands of people on a consistent basis, 3 times every Sunday,
Yeah.
take the proverbial moment of silence together and connect. That's real.
It like, and the feeling I have when you're doing it is because you start, you know, you light up your spine, right, and then you activate your heart center with the golden Christed light, the omnipresent light, and as you're calling it in, you're bringing it in. That's radiating, and then you expand that to fill your room, and then you level it up another notch, right? Expand to fill for 100 miles around you, and that's when I really feel like being part of the golden grid, right? So I see my expansion of 100 miles, my radiance, times how many thousands of people on this planet doing it, and then we connect,
Mm.
right? So that we're like raising the earth vibration, raising our own vibrations for the animals, for the trees, for the solar system, right? Like it's just
Powerful.
and like and it's all coming from within. So we're radiating and all that is literally all from within us. The
That's
most
right.
amazing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly, and to think that that the epicenter of that can occur in the densest realm, in a fishbowl,
Yeah,
stuck in a corner of a universe, fishbowl little realm that doesn't
Huh.
operate. Like everything.
So cool.
It affects more than the solar system. It affects every timeline and dimension.
Like, and then especially when it says now call in your now radiate your Christedness, and then so. But like, if have you ever done her Christ light meditation?
I have never done one of hers, but I've done quite a few that it's very similar. Morgan does these sessions. She's been doing them since March. They are on Zoom, but I would say for the hour and 20 minutes, they probably average, there's less than 5 minutes collective talking.
Okay.
Maybe 10, because at the end people talk about their experience. So it's a very similar type of thing.
Yep.
There are specific intentions that are brought up, and typically it's what's coming onto the earth now to be healed or to be transformed. Like right now, it might be trust, right? But it's interesting because when you listen to the people after the session, which has been wordless, they have the same experiences.
Ah,
So it's more validation for what you're talking about, what Sandra's doing. Also, like for instance, in those groups, many times, actually every time, it's basically a visit to a visit to the New Earth grid. So it's very much the same type of thing. So how many people are doing this that we
I
don't?
believe
You know what I mean? That we don't know. I mean,
that.
you know what I'm saying?
That was, quote me if I'm wrong.
No,
Like
but I'm saying like all over the world.
it's just
All over
yeah,
the
and
world. Because whether it's one person, well, obviously we're two or more gathered, but whether it's a small group of ladies, we've had ladies come on here where we found out that like 6 of them get together once every week or 2 weeks, and we're like, hey, can we film one? Can we film like and have a show and like you show us what you do? I mean, how many of those things are going on around the world?
I mean the more the better, man. The better for
Mm.
everybody's hearts. Everybody's like we're just the more we do it, the more we're eradicating all like the 3D, all the stuff that doesn't belong
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
We're sifting it every time we do it. Little sifter here, get out of here.
yes. Well, and we're stepping into that frequency band,
Yeah.
and we're sustaining ourselves there with collaborators, which makes it stronger and more doable. And then, of course, we dip back down, but we're dipping back down less and less and less.
That's right.
We really are. More and more people are carrying a higher frequency, and the old's just falling away.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, and we can thank all of each and every one of us, for doing the work, and
Mm.
we're part of the weirdo club. I love being part of the weirdo club.
Yeah, crazy isn't crazy anymore. Do you rap? You rap,
I
don't
do
you?
not rap.
Oh,
No,
I
I
thought
don't.
you did. For some reason, I thought, did you send me some music or something?
No, I
I thought
never
one
did,
time,
man.
oh, I probably get you mixed up with another Carlo. I don't know.
But bust a few rhymes for you later or something. I'll write it down if I can.
No, I just thought, yeah, maybe it's that you look like Sacred Romeo. So, like, have you had, like, people come on here, obviously they come on the show, they talk about all kinds of things, anything goes. It's all in the spirit of many things, oneness, unity, but I mean, in terms of like our physical experience, our human experience. Not everybody's the same. Some people never see a fairy.
Nope.
Some people never see an angel. Some people don't see anything. Some people think they don't hear nothing. Some people, like, I mean, what's your journey been like after you met this psychic and went into Reiki? I mean, you've had a lot of experience in Reiki. Do you receive information for yourself personally during those sessions?
I personally, I just love what I see through it, through the 3D eye. Like, I mean, Jesus has come through a lot. Like Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, like work with me all the time. Like, and that's what I see. So somebody's like, well, how do you know that's them? Well, it's like you just, that's what I envisioned during that time, and I mean, it's not like you know, I can take a picture and this is exactly what I see. It's just through my vision, like the tree of life thing. And then,
Right, right.
for instance, I was doing a healing. My friend called me and she's saying, "Hey, my little one, she was just over a year, and she said she's having some stomach issues. Or even before she said that, she's like, can you do a healing?" Right. So I was going for a walk. I come back. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a shower before I do this. And man, I just had the worst gut pain. Right. I'm like, man, what? Why did my gut feel bloated? I just walked 5 kilometers. Right. And so, anyways, I started doing the healing, and I got to like just above the sacral, the navel, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these like bees, right? These bees flowing around. And then all of a sudden it's like one came like right in my face, and it's like the face of Jesus. And I'm like, well, what the heck is this going on? They're just like, bzz, bzz. So then I started calling them these Jesus bees. So any somebody has like stomach issues and that, I'm like, well, I'm not even gonna say it, but I'm just gonna bring him in, because if you mention Jesus bees to people, they're like, "What the hell is this fucking weirdo talking about?" Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it, So it's kind of, I think, to be honest, like I don't know if I'm one of the people that descended from Jesus, is like the DNA that got sprinkled for all of us humanity, but like I just feel really connected to him, and even
Yeah.
my friend Jen, my Reiki teacher, she sees these things on another level.
Right.
Like what she's doing right now is ancestral work with the Aboriginal plains, basically bringing back respect, and because of all the crap that's been done over the years. So she's working in the lower realms right now. So when me and her talked before, we're both like zing, 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 but she had to come back down in order to work. Right.
Wow.
So I've learned a lot from her in this experience, because I'm usually we're like buzzing. I'm like, she's like, I just don't even get you right now, kind of thing, But
So is that what she says, that she went back into the lower realms, like in from a human consciousness standpoint, like
because
just
needing to do the work to repair what's been done. Yeah.
okay.
So, because I mean,
Almost like she's got to go back in and feel the
uh,
oppression and the murders and the savage, all the BS, the injustice. Like she's got to go back into it to really feel it and then come back out to transform it, something
she's
like that.
talking a lot about like using sacred tobacco,
Mm.
giving it offer and stuff. So I have a little sacred forest here. It's about 10-minute walk for me. So that's my happy place. That's where I go and I ground and talk to all the trees and the birds, especially the crows, man. Like the crows are just awesome. I love those guys, man. Like I mean, if anybody connects with us through spirit, it's the crows.
Yeah, yeah. Birds, period. Birds,
Well, there's
trees, birds. But yeah,
all
birds. There's something about birds, especially like if you're, like out in the, in the not wilderness, but like in a cabin. Like we stayed in a cabin in Northern California, and it's like a symphony, man. Like these types of birds over here, these types of birds over here. Then you'll get the individual birds, like that are more symbolic, like the hawks and the eagles. Yeah, birds are very cool. I can understand birds pretty well. Super
and like
well.
the more you work, the more you tap into your I am and all your spirituality. The more you connect with these animals, the more you can. Now sometimes I'm sitting there conversation with a squirrel, like I don't know exactly.
Conversation with the squirrel. I love these comments. Lots of relating. Cool to see a man with all the same shit going on. That's the number one comment in email message we receive. Is I thought I was the only one, basically.
Oh man, like to be honest, sometimes you feel like you're alone, right? Because it's like, like honestly, I'm a lone wolf most of the days, and I don't mind it. Like I love my free time now. I love my alone time. And the more work you just and then different people come into your life when you're doing this kind of stuff. All of a sudden you
Right.
meet them, and it's like you just a couple of words exchanged. You're like, okay, this is my kind of person here.
So you talked about breaking the heart open, and
Yeah.
you talked about you display, in my opinion, this rising. People keep posting grand rising, grand rising. I see that everywhere, but like the rising masculine. But now, in terms of the feminine, be it your own feminine within yourself or feminine external mirrors, what's that evolution look like as, before and after?
I think the biggest thing is just, like treating women as equals. Not to say they haven't been
Mm-hmm.
treated as equals, but just, what I mean, like this whole like selling kids crap that's been going on, and prostituting and stuff like that. Really, I mean, it has no place. And I think that the balance of the masculine and feminine is probably the biggest thing happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just um yeah, it's like, I mean, just from my own personal experiences, I've seen with the ladies are a lot more coming my way for conversation. Like, I mean, I wasn't always the most respectful to the ladies. I'll be honest. I remember my first psychic medium. She's like, you need to start respecting women. Start with this one. And I'm like,
She read you like a book.
but I didn't know what I mean? Because, like, now it's like, oh, you see a gorgeous girl or something. I'm like, wow, she's hot, but I'd love to have a conversation before this goes any further.
Yeah, right.
Before it's like, damn, she's hot. I wouldn't kick her out of bed.
What about? Do you have any feel for the feminine? You as your half.
And like I can break down and cry anytime, man. Like if I'm having a deep conversation with somebody and they're telling me their stuff, like I got, you know what I mean? We're hugging, we're crying. It's in the middle of work sometimes or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that the more work I've done of the balancing, and I think the more people feel comfortable because it's your light, right? Your light attracts people. It's not even say me personally, my voice. It's just, and I've noticed like sometimes you get caught at work and having deep conversations with people you never even thought you'd have a deep conversation with. And they're like, oh, you're so easy to talk to. I'm like, oh, well, I do my best.
But that was after the heartbreaking open. It's almost like the male suppressed the feminine within himself.
Yeah.
Okay. And if that's the case, did the female suppress the masculine in herself?
Probably a little bit of both. I think it's like, I mean, just through my own personal experiences, like I've always been I can always sense if I'm talking to somebody, I can kind of get a sense of how they feel about me or how they, so and I never really understood that before. Like I never trusted my own instincts, but now it's like, I just trust my own intuition and my own vibration over anything.
Yeah.
But
Like,
I mean, especially like with the ladies, I find it's really changed. The more you get balanced, the more you don't just look at them as, oh, there's a hot piece of ass, right? Like it's like, hey, there's a fine young lady right there, like on a soul level, man. I always tell girls now, I'm like, you're a goddess. I'm like,
right.
You're a beautiful heart, and don't let anybody fucking tell you different.
Yeah. That's for all of us, right? I am soul.
Cool, brother.
Don't let anyone stand in your way. I mean, it's true though. I mean, we're all free energy, and love is free, and love is not stagnant. Love continues to move and co-create and co-create more and more and more and more. I mean, this is the flower of life in the flesh, and I think at some point we're going to start, and I think it's already happening now. Like it's happening. And a lot of people have talked about it and written about it in different ways, but it's really us. The shoe's not going to drop.
No.
This is real. This is real. The fear and the worry can go, or not.
Yeah, I hear you.
But you can make the choice. How often are you in fear and worry?
I'm not going to lie to you, not too often anymore, Todd. Like, we all have our moments. I'm not going to sit here and... But then I catch myself and I'm like, well, what the heck am I worried about or feared about? When really there's, we're creating our own reality. So if I'm fearful of myself, well, then I got to, give myself a kick in the ass to wake up. But I think, like where I work in the hospital there's a lot of fear, man. Like,
are you, what do you do at the hospital?
I'm a sterilization technician. So like all the surgical equipment we clean.
So you're around some pretty heavy, dense energy, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. It's like when I come home, man, I do my little dance party by myself. I sage. You know what I mean? Have a shower, work out, and I leave work at work. When I enter that place, it's like I enter, that energy field.
How do you do that? Like with armor? You have like armor on before you go.
Okay. Speaking of armor, so I mean, this might sound a little cuckoo, but well, you won't think it is.
No.
I remember originally, like, I was having dreams, and I had dreams like I was carrying these big blue blades, like almost like a He-Man sword, right? So I'm like, why am I keep seeing this like Masters of the Universe stuff? So here I am having a conversation with my friend Jen, and she was talking about Archangel Michael and how he's gifted her with these swords, and I'm like, well, could swear like I keep having these dreams and all this about these swords, right? So next thing you know, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it. So now when I do my grounding work, I wake up in the morning I ask for Archangel Michael's love and support. So I pull out the blades and I use my swords to ground my heart center down into the fifth, sixth dimensional core of Gaia. So I radiate that, and it's like you just feel it, right? Like the energy from it. And then I anchor my heart up into source through the crystalline grid all the way up through the, and as I'm doing it with these swords, it like amplifies my beingness. Like I'm just buzzing it while I'm doing it, right? So, and even at the end, it's like, thank you, I love you. And then, you put the swords back in. But I've used it to help in like Reiki sessions if I cutting off cords, you know what I mean? Because I even myself had attachment one time. It was out of the city here. I was walking down a hall. It was in a hospital. And man, it just felt something yank at my tailbone. Like I went down to my knees. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like my knees are like buckling. So, and my friend Jen popped into my head. So I'm like, hey, Jen, listen to this. And here I am walking. And I swear like something pulled me down. Next thing you know, she's sending me a message. Archangel Metatron is working on releasing that cord. So I guess I had like a black cord attached from whatever it was. It was energetic. And so then that got released. And then she's like, Jesus is there also helping you heal with it. And God, I went into a 20-minute hysterical laughter and crying, man. Like it was like when I look in the mirror and I'm just bawling and laughing. Time. I'm like, what did you do to me here? She's like, that's all your energy, and that's all part of. So I thought I was going nuts, man.
Jeez.
But
so did she pop in your head, or you message
well,
her?
we're so connected.
Yeah.
Like she was a Reiki teacher, and then sometimes it's like I get a weird gut feeling, like something's not right here, and all of a sudden I'll get a message from her. Hey, Karlo, can I get a healing? I had this bad experience visiting a patient or something, right? Because she works with those realms. So it was just like, I don't know, like we're just so connected, and I love it. That's like that intuition. Like I didn't even think at the time I had that, but it's,
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence of change in the medical, like in the institution that you work in, or just the energy of it?
To be honest, I think it's a very heavy presence, starting from the top down. Like I always said, if you're not a conscious person, if you're not a true leader, then why be at the top of a business somewhere? Because then it seems like everybody's just passing the buck down. The top dog's passing it on to the managers, and then the managers are overwhelmed because there's too much work, and then it gets passed down on to us, right? So it's just like I see it, our workloads added up, and like everybody's kind of like in a bit of worry and a bit of fear mode. So, I mean, has it improved? I don't know. I mean,
that's a pretty good description of the whole realm, really.
Yeah.
And there's a certain narrative that one way or the other they talk about how the higher ups above the higher ups above the higher ups, right, have been removed. Some people might say reptilians were jettisoned out of the solar system or whatever, galaxy or whatever. But it's almost like it's just the pattern itself is the only thing that's there, and going unquestioned, it just remains, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, it is just pushing it down. But I think that's kind of why, I was asking the question. I've asked a couple of other people that are in the medical industry, over the last few months, I remember. They talked about seeing some change, more conscious. I believe these were both in Australia, though, which has a different, that's a different consciousness. That's a different experience with the way they handled COVID. But, that's it. Yeah.
But I mean, I think slowly, like I've noticed a couple people. There's one girl, I think she's one of the managers. You can just tell there's something about her. And then my friend Jen was telling me, she's like, oh, she's one of us. I'm like, oh, right on. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, man, because like I even like you trigger so many people. Like I don't even realize how many people I triggered just by, being the light, right? And you say things to them and they're like, oh, you can't really say that. And it's like, well, why not? Because that's the truth. And if you can't speak your truth, then the hell with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking about myself as you were talking about that. Thinking, do I talk to a lot of people, when it's not like in public, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm going to be somewhere in public, I really don't, You know, I might strike up a conversation with somebody next to me occasionally or something like that. But I think I guess what I'm getting, I don't know why it came in, the whole observing thing, and what you said at the beginning about you feel like not alone, but and I don't think you said out of place, but I feel like sometimes I'm walking in a foreign world, and I'm just
It's
looking around going, wow, you know, this is weird.
you. Oh, that's bang on, man. That's bang on, brother. Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people are, a lot of people I know are, you know, secluded and in solitude. And most
And
of the ones, I guess, they're all conscious people too. You know, I mean, they're consciously working on themselves, you know, and plugged in to themselves and to the collective. You know, the Trinity energy. You know,
there's a good reason to that too. While you're probably spending some time alone, and it's necessary, right?
yeah,
It's like okay,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah,
Big reset. It feels like this year's been a big reset, or some people might say that the slate's clean. The
yeah,
slate's being wiped clean, but you still have that residual, that
that's
trickle down of the system. Like you were saying, the higher ups don't know what they're doing. They just push it to the next one. So everybody does what they've always done, you know.
yeah.
And then somebody comes in and asks the question at some point.
Like I mean, I question everything, you know, like,
Yeah.
and it's not just to be a pain in the ass, but it's like okay, if this is done
Well,
like
no wonder
this,
you're triggering them. You're like a what is it, a one arm paper hanger?
I call myself a lone wolf, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I'm a good leader of the pack. That's the way I
yeah,
look at it.
yeah. The wolf energy's strong. I had a night about 3 nights ago, 3 or 4 days ago. The wolves just kept popping in my field. Like you were talking about the bees, I just kept seeing wolves everywhere.
I'm like my animal's the wolf, the spirit animal, and like I remember in the beginning when I was doing the Reiki work, like it was like I connected to him so well in a meditation. I felt like I was running with the pack, Todd. It was just
Wow,
incredible, man.
I've
It
never had
was,
that happen.
and I remember one thing I did for my friend, like something attacked her, so I had to do a quick healing. Literally, I had a wolf on one side, and it was like the bear on the other. So like the spirit animals added to the healing, and it was
Mm,
probably the most powerful healing I've ever experienced doing for somebody. Like it was just the power of the bear and the wolf, man. Like I felt like I could have ran through a brick wall. You
wow,
know,
far
pretty
out,
man.
far out, bro. And so you're pretty connected to this Jen. Do y'all do work together? Like,
We actually done a session here at my place. We offered one weekend, and her friend that came in. It's so cool because she sees the whole healing, right? How it happened. So this gal recently had her cat pass away. So her cat was part of this healing, man. Like it was so incredible. She was putting imprints on her soul,
wow.
you know, in the afterlife. And my friend Jen, so I'm sitting here like towards the head, and I was just focusing, radiating the Christed light consciousness. I'm like, I'm just going to do this. She's doing her work. And then later, Joanne's like, oh my God. And I felt this yellow light coming down on me. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You saw it? You know what I mean? Like, and this is the kind of stuff I just love, man. I
Yeah.
love hearing people's experiences and stuff like that. It's incredible. But like my friend Jen is amazing. Like she grew up in the forest, so she's always literally communicates with the trees. She
Right.
communicates with on such levels. Like she's taught me so much about nature and just it's amazing. Like
Wow.
amazing.
She probably has a connection to the elementals too, I would think.
Oh man, like it's incredible. Like literally, I thought I picked sage. Right, so I had some sage drying up here. I'm like, oh, sacred medicine. I'm so happy, you know. I give a little sacred tobacco to the forest, and we're sitting there having coffee. Usually we meet up on Sunday, and she's like, show me a picture of that sage. And I didn't have it on me. I couldn't find it. She's like, you know what? They're telling me that's not sage.
You're
I'm
kidding.
like, oh man, okay, they fooled me. Sure it was. I was taking pictures, you know, as well. But, you know, so just that kind of stuff, you know, and like I never really think I know too much. I always look at it like every day is learning. Even with Reiki, I'm always learning. Even with this ascension, I'm constantly learning, you know. So it's if you really never stop learning, then that's how you grow. That's how you expand.
Yeah.
Really,
Openness, being open. So what are your plans? You what you do hands-on Reiki.
I
Uh,
do hands-on Reiki sessions. I do distant Reiki healings as well, and So I'm kind of got my own little business going here. I'm
Cool.
starting up called Reiki Karlo Energy Healing.
Right.
Haven't gotten the website done yet, but I have an Instagram account, Reiki Karlo 1111. So it's been kind of my yeah, man. Honestly, I love it. Like I've never thought like starting something up that could financially help you could be so fun. You know, because like I love doing it. So I'm like, well, what the heck, you know? Yeah,
Let me ask you this, like,
yeah.
because obviously Reiki started with hands-on, or
Hmm.
and then of course with the internet and our abilities, I would say as well, expanding, there was this move to distant healing,
Hmm.
or they're both out there. But like as a practitioner, was that an adjustment for you? Was that something that you had to work at?
Not at all, to be honest. I did more distant healings than I did in-person
Okay,
healings.
okay.
The feedback, like when best thing was when I did it for my psychic friend, because she's like, okay, come over, I'm going to explain to you how your healing work. I'm like, this is awesome, like this is so she goes, in the beginning she says my energy is a little flirty. So
Flirty?
feeling very buzzy, very alive. And then the next day, I guess it was the cleanse of the stomach or whatever, so you might you have diarrhea or whatever. And I've had a few people tell me that, so I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, great. But I always say don't worry about it. It's usually just the cleansing of the energy, because I mean it's like I don't know what it's going to do. I just do it. I'm a channel, like the energy flows, and what happens after that, it's from the higher up, so it's not, there's no bad intentions or anything.
Mm, mm, mm.
But I think like I've done some in-person ones, not as many, but it's been more distant healings, you know.
Well, I always wondered about that.
Well, if
So,
you want, let me know one
what's
for
your
you.
and what about like in now? Are you is Winnipeg's a province, right? Ontario, what is it?
Winnipeg is a city, and the province is Manitoba.
Okay, so Winnipeg is the big city in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Do you see the frequencies of like these communities out there in the community of
Oh, but there's
Winnipeg?
quite a bit of Reiki stuff here in the city.
Really?
And I'm gonna be part of this. It's called the Psychic Sense Festival that these kind of hippie chicks put together. I bumped into on, it was an open mic night, and we're talking Reiki and energy, and she's like, "Oh my god, I love your energy. You should be part of the show." I'm like, "Sure, sounds good." And basically, it's going to be a bunch of little kiosks, and there's going to be healing centers. There's going to be alien talk. There's going to be. I'm like, man, this is so my world. I am all over this like a rat on a Cheeto, man. You know what I mean?
Like a rat on a Cheeto. That sounds like an American urban term. I've heard that down in the streets.
Buddy, once I'm like, that's the greatest thing ever, man. Rat on a Cheeto.
And what about like this whole sacred union frequency? Obviously, this happens within us, but a lot of people, a lot of emphasis, I guess, on the collaboration of you know stereotypically male female. It can be other sequences, but is that something that a lot of people will say I'm waiting for my other half or my twin or my soulmate, or I'm looking for that experience? Is that something that you think about?
I haven't heard too much about that. Like, I think about the twin flame thing. I actually bumped into this girl, and I thought she was my twin flame, and it was kind of like, but I think it was more so we were brought together to teach each other a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Almost a couple triggers got brought up in me, and I brought out some stuff in her, and it was just like, holy shit! Like, damn, man, I sure have like a weird effect on people, man. It's like, you know what I mean? But I think it's I think kind of everybody's figuring it out on their own, and maybe some people are kind of shy to talk about it, because everybody's afraid of what people are going to think. Or I remember even in the beginning, before I posted stuff, I was like, "Oh, I don't know, should I share this? They're going to think I'm nuts." But I mean, it's like, why would I care what they think? It's about what I'm, talking about and my truth and my experiences. But
Yeah.
but also here, there's quite a bit of hippie communities. Like there's this Frolic Festival or something happening. It's kind of like about 100 clicks away, and it's all organic. It's going to be, it's kind of like a 5D kind of community. But I think it's slowly happening here. I think
I just wonder, I just wonder after all these years, how many people are, you know, awake to the point where they're in love with themselves, and understand, that Trinity energy of I'm serving myself, I'm serving you, and I'm serving the collective in an equal stroke.
yeah,
I mean, that can be explained or described many ways, metaphorically and otherwise. But it makes me wonder, and especially with the way everything's upside down.
Yeah.
Like everything that comes through, for instance, as an example, mainstream media is like, like
Yes.
one little iota of truth. So what does that mean? Like it makes you question a lot of things. Like how many people have died from COVID, or how many people haven't died from COVID, or vaccines, or anything else, financial information, unemployment numbers. But how many, quote unquote, light workers, or how many of them are there? I think that number might be a lot bigger than we think.
Well, what did they say? It's like the 144,000 or whatever. But
Some people say that. Yeah.
I mean, even Simon, I was just listening to a video and he was talking about the number of angels, and he's like, "There's billions of angels,
Yeah.
just like there's billions of people." So it's like, okay, well, there's got to be a whole. I think the number though is around. Quote me if I'm wrong, but it's around like, is it like 200 million?
I don't
200
know.
million light workers, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like
I mean,
just
200 million would
numbers out there,
be what? That would be 2.5%. Would you say?
yeah, it's not much, but
200 million out of 8
yeah,
billion. Yeah, would be, yeah. But as we all know, like even what you described in that Sandra's group. I remember when I was waking up, not knowing I was waking up. Just
yeah,
waking up, and I would just remember laying in bed, and I would visualize my soul, which would then, the light would then be the silhouette of my body, and then it would be the room, and then I would go through this, I don't know why I was doing it, like a lot of the stuff that we get, but it would eventually go, extrapolate out into the multiverses, and so when I was listening to you talk about that, it's like, something woke up in us on or about 2012. I know some people have been on this path a lot longer, but
yeah.
I feel like that part of it is coming into reality. In other words, it's coming into a way of life. Like even you, like you're building a business. It's all revolved around your awareness and your awakening and your abilities and your skills and your intuitiveness. I mean, that's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale.
It's been the greatest thing ever happened to me, man. I mean, I didn't. If I go back 5 years, I didn't see none of this now. I mean, it's just how it's all happened, how the synchronicities bring everything together, man. And when you actually just sit back and you look at like how your life's unfolded and how you've changed for the better, and like the people around you, even when like especially like the people that love you and stuff make compliments and be like, "Wow, you've sure changed." Because man, I used to be a hothead bastard, man. I was like, fucking, you know what I mean? So now it's like some people see me like that as my old self, but like I don't even relate with that guy, man. Like I don't even know who that is anymore. So
Wow. How old are you?
I am 38.
38. So this all happened to you around 33.
Oh yeah.
You broke your heart open at 33.
I know it took a little while, but the numbers.
33. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right on. All right, man. I've enjoyed it.
Right.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time, eh?
Yeah, man. It was a pleasure meeting you, and shout out to Winnipeg. I didn't know we had that many people. I had like 4 people in the audience from Winnipeg.
Represent Butthole City.
You take care, brother. Peace out.
Take care, brother.
See